Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel and DisBoards.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we're going to be doing a hit or miss, or we're going to be telling you which Disney value resorts we feel are a hit or miss. So to help me with this conversation at the table here, we've got Corey Fiescanaro.
Hey, guys.
Denny Sunderly.
Hi there.
And Craig Williams in the back here.
Oh, hoy hoy.
So yeah, I think it was originally going to be a sucks doesn't suck, but we thought like hit or miss because it's a little more personal, and I don't want to rip apart anybody's like favorite resort or anything like that. So we will have some suck doesn't suck episodes coming up in the future for those of you who do enjoy those, but here we are, hit or miss. So value resorts at Walt Disney World. We've got Disney's All-Star Movies Resort, Disney's All-Star Music, Disney's All-Star Sports, and Disney's Art of Animation, Disney's Pop Century Resort, and the campsites at Disney's Fort Wilderness. So we're just going to dive right in. First one I said, Disney's All-Star Movies Resort. Denny, hit or miss for you?
Oh, gosh. For me, it's going to be a hit. I remember when the All-Stars came on property when they were built, and I was reading about it in Southern Living magazine. It was such a big deal that people who don't normally cover Walt Disney World, news outlets who don't normally focus on the resorts here, were focused on them because all of a sudden there were these 3 resorts that were more affordable for families. So it kind of opened up just a category, a possibility for families who maybe had looked at staying on property and were out of the price point, like that was just way too much. Suddenly they could stay on property and kind of get some of the magic too. So I think they're a hit.
Corey?
Yeah, so huge hit for me, All-Star Movies. As far as the All-Stars go, I'm actually a fan of all but one, which we'll get to later. But for
Yeah,
right?
Foreshadowing.
Who knows which ones it's going to be? But if you've listened to what I said about All Stars before, you might already know. But for movies, the theming is killer. As far as the 3 All-Star resorts go, the theming at movies is killer. And I know for me personally, me and Haley, when we lived in Massachusetts and would come down here on vacation, 3 times a year, there's no way we would have been able to do that if it wasn't for All-Stars. And movies, and then one other that is yet to be mentioned, are the 2 that we bounced back and forth from often. Also, I would like to say their gift shop. I'm not a huge fan of their cafeteria, their quick service area, but their gift shops are top-tier gift shops. You can find a lot of good stuff there. And as far as being a pin collector is concerned, finding places that are sold out of limited edition pins, you're going to all the main hub places like Contemporary, Magic Kingdom, they're going to sell out of the LE pins first, but things like All-Star Music and stuff like that, All-Star, I just kind of gave something away, but All-Star Movies, you're going to find LE pins there for quite some time after they sell out.
What do you think, Craig?
It's actually a hit for me too. So, it wouldn't be my first choice ever, but that's not what this is about. Just our opinions on the resorts. And yeah, a lot of the value resorts, it's not as glamorous in that main lobby area where you have a small lobby that gets crammed really quickly and huge cafeteria style quick service. And, it's kind of a frantic entrance, but the resort as a whole, I think makes up for it. I'm right there with Fiasco. I love the theming at this resort. I know it is very dated for the time period it came out, but specifically like focusing on the Mighty Ducks as a wing. I'm a child of the Mighty Ducks, so it's perfect for me that it's still there. I love that they represent Herbie and the Love Bug with an entire building section, and no, not the Lindsay Lohan version, the original classics and its sequels, and then even just like the main ones that you're hit with when you walk right out, the Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 kind of sharing and having that big Sorcerer Mickey pool right in the middle. The theming's great. As of the time that we're recording and releasing this, it's the it's the only one of the All-Stars that has completed their room renovations to switch them over to the new look with the hardwood floors and the pull-down bed and another queen bed in there, and given, they stripped out a lot of the theming from the room, added a little Mickey in, but the rooms are my aesthetic, so it really works with that style. So if I had to pick one of the 3 All-Star resorts, movies without a doubt would be my go-to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with kind of all the sentiments, except for yours with dining, Fiasco. I actually enjoy the dining here. I'm not 100% if they still do it. Somebody recently spoke to me about it and said they did do it. So right now, it might still be a thing. Tomorrow, it might not be a thing. So please don't quote me on this. But they had a secret menu that they may or may not still have that was in there. That was a really cool process that you kind of went through, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that. I'm with Craig. Like, I like the big RC that's there from Toy Story. I like all those movies. The Mighty Ducks. Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on some of the obviously, like, kids are going to come in and be like, Mighty Ducks, what is this? And I hope that now Disney Plus is kind of just reinforcing all of those movies back into people's lives. 101 Dalmatians, not that slipped away, but I do kind of like how they've got, I don't remember which Dalmatian it is, but when he's the area where he's like watching the old TV and stuff.
The Canine Crunchies.
Yes, yeah. It's, I enjoy it, and I would say of the 3 All-Star resorts, it's probably my favorite. So for me, it's a hit. But I'm also, I should have started this episode by saying, it's what you want to get out of the resort too,
right.
So what it means for you. And I am a very park heavy person. Whenever I go to, if I go to Disneyland on my own, I would probably be in the park basically from opening to close. And when we came as kids, we did not take breaks when we came. It was in the morning, and we were here until we went to the hotel at night.
The only other thing I wanted to say about it, as a floor plan of the entire All-Star Resort area, movies, it's the furthest back. So that's also another huge selling point, in my opinion, that you don't have to deal with the hassle of, constantly cars driving all the way, always going past your resort like you do if you are in sports and specifically sports, and then music to an extent, but then movies all the way in the back. It feels a little bit more secluded, in my opinion.
I don't know if that also adds that vibe where you're like, oh, it's special, it's way back here. But well, let's move on to, so that I think that was a unanimous hit right there.
It was.
So yeah, but the next one I don't think will be All-Star Music. I'm gonna start. For me, it's solely based on theming. I feel like this one would be a miss for me. It just doesn't really do anything for me. Even in the aspect of it's all like music based, it feels I don't know. There's just something about like the big cowboy boots and stuff. It feels all a little cheesy. Like Ariel's got her guitar. I don't know. I know the 3 resorts are very similar in style and presentation and stuff, but for me, it's just the music one is just, it's the most forgettable, honestly. But Denny, what do you think of that one?
I like All-Star Music. I love the 3 Caballeros, and so the feature pool being themed to the 3 Caballeros is immediately. It spoke to me, so I really liked it. We've also eaten in their food court and had chicken parmesan one night.
Oh, fancy.
My youngest and I split it, and it was great. And I also taught our youngest kiddo how to drive in the parking lot, so it's a sentimental
So
favorite.
it's an unsafe parking lot. You just heard it here.
Exactly. No, it was during their last renovation, so it was a part of the back parking lot they weren't even using. So it's good. It's a family
it's
thing.
a hit for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite value resort, period, hands down.
Really?
It is my home away from home before I got DVC, and before DVC was like something that I even considered. I would always joke that is my home resort. There's no hotel in the world or no resort in the world that I've stayed at more than music. I understand the theming is a little lackluster. 3 Caballeros is awesome though, and just for me, there's so much nostalgia and memories attached to that place, and so many vacations that have been had and probably wouldn't have been had if it wasn't available. The rooms that you can get there are so cheap, and you still get all the Disney magic encompassed in like getting the Magical Express to and from the airport. You get all those awesome benefits, staying at a great value. I mean, I've gotten rooms there for as low as like $100 a night. And sometimes, like, I think the lowest I ever got like a few years back was maybe like $98 a night. And I mean, you still get all those benefits. So huge hit for me.
Craig, what do you think?
It's really on the line for me. I would genuinely put it right in the middle because while I don't care for the overall vibe of the resort, and like I always laugh when I walk into the lobby, they have the one photo collage wall of all like the different singers and such, and it's just so dated that it makes me cringe every time I look at it. But then I do like the little Disney touches to add in with music, as already has been mentioned, so that kind of brings it back up to me. And then the food court again is another food court. The nice part about the All Stars is if you don't really like the one right at your hotel, it's very accessible to get over to the ones that you do like. So there is that benefit. And then I know for the room renovations that music is almost done or will be finishing up really quickly. And so having those nice renovated rooms, I think, is a big selling point.
Yeah.
So I think I would shy towards giving it still a hit for me. But if you end up in an old room, like what happened to us the last time we stayed at movies, where
that was Pop.
That was Pop.
Yeah.
Well, when it happened at Pop, where it was like almost all the rooms are completely finished, and twice we get an old room that just kind of like when you get that, it really puts a tarnish on your stay. So assuming you have a new room, it's a hit. And if you just luck out and you get one of the ones that isn't finished, no, it's kind of sullies it.
I think that's kind of, I don't know. So that one's a little more in the line for me. Well, what do we think about sports?
Garbage.
Oh my God.
See, I actually I like the sports one better than the music one. I think it's just an aesthetically, I enjoy it a little better. Like the courtyards that are like, the football field and stuff. And, but again, this is also the loudest of those resorts. So it's, for me, it's kind of like, if you're going, and again, I'm not going to be in the resort a lot. That's just for me personally. But if I'm going to go and try and have a drink at like the pool bar or something like that, there was going to be a screaming crowd of cheerleaders there. So it's kind of like, it's not a place I imagine going and just being able to really relax. So for me, it's a little bit of a miss for that. But what do you think, Denny?
Yeah, I mean, that's you almost started reading the reviews from the word go with some of these all-stars and sports, specifically when it's Pop Warner season and they put all the teams there, and so it's going to be crowded, and like you said, it's not going to be super relaxing
for practicing.
Right.
So you're like,
right.
That's not like a real feel.
So, but then again, I know that for a lot of families, this is the way that you get to stay on property. So not to completely knock it, but just knowing going in, as long as I consider it a hit, as long as going in that you could have large groups staying at the resort at the same time your family is.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind.
Yeah. What do you think, Craig?
It's like a place that it just stresses me out anytime I'm there. Like it's been a while since we've done a really big 7-7 with the DIS, and back in those days when it came to being at All-Star Sports, that was always like the day that I was excited because I knew we were only going to be there like 3 hours and then be finished and done with it. But at the same time, that was like a very stressful 3 hours of being there. Like like Rhino said, I can't imagine being there and having a relaxing vacation. It has never worked for me. But you know what? If I was in a bind, would I stay there? Yeah,
exactly.
But I would not enjoy it. And we are a good thing to mention in this before we get Fiascos on there, just because I don't want to forget about it. We just recently launched our resort review engine on the DIS, where you can leave resort reviews from your recent stays, and we still don't have a lot of reviews in at this time. We're still pushing people to go out there and do it. So we'll make sure that we have like links to that area and such. But we'll have to recap after we gave all our thoughts on them at the end. Recap what the current reviews we have on the site are and match up with percentages, because I am blown away.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh dear.
But
Good.
That's my
Okay, Fiasco, give me your take here.
Yeah, so this is the only All-Star that's going to be a miss for me. Now, it varies on the cheapest. So sometimes music is the cheapest depending on the time of year. Sometimes sports is the cheapest depending on the time of year. So it has that going for it. So you can, at some points in the year, be at the most affordable resort on property and still get all those Disney benefits. But at the same time, like everybody else has mentioned, it is kind of a dumping ground for middle school groups. Now, all the All-Stars are susceptible to that, but it happens at sports the most. So going to have to be a miss, because that is a big miss. If you come on a vacation and it's just flooded with middle school groups, I mean, that can be kind of a little bit of a hamper when you're trying to get around. But
Should I say them now or leave it for the
we'll
very
wait till
end?
the end.
Okay.
Make them
Now
wait
you
a
have
little
another
bit.
reason to tune in. Yeah.
Moo-ha-ha.
Yeah. I guess I am also shocked because I'm
Just the
looking at it
one.
now,
The
but-
one specifically.
Yeah.
I'm shocked
Yeah.
by.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, next we got Art of Animation over here, which is touted as a value resort, but the prices can be a little on the higher side, I think. But it does offer suites, which is a nice thing if you got a couple extra people in your group. For me personally, I do like this resort a bit, as in terms of it being a value price resort. I don't agree with that, so that is definitely a missed opportunity there. But it has a great food court. I love the what is it, flavors,
Landscape of Flavors.
Landscape of Flavors. I always think they have really interesting things to choose from. I like the pools, and honestly, I like the theming to all the animated the features that they have in there. So you got like the Cars area. You've got the Lion King area, which I really like because I love that it's got that scene where they're going over the log in the middle of the movie. But and I do think the suites are. I think they're nice. I like the inside, especially
I like the layout of the suites.
Yeah.
I don't like the actual amenities in them. I have not been in the Lion King suites. I've been in the Cars and the Finding Nemo.
I think I've only been in the Finding
ones,
Nemo
and-
every time.
And then I've been in a Little Mermaid standard room. I think the Little Mermaid standard room is actually probably my favorite of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the carpet. I don't like. I'm more the minimalist when it comes in theming. I want to know I'm at a resort that's at Disney, but I also don't want it like thrown in my face.
Just smothering you with a pillow in your sleep.
Yeah, but and that's what these rooms are. They are like balls to the wall theming. But a lot of people love Disney specifically for that reason. So I know I'm in the minority on that, and I would never knock this resort for that reason.
I wish you had used balls to the wall at the sports when we talked about All Stars.
I looked for a way to sneak it in. I just couldn't.
You still had to get it in the episode, though. Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. So, where did you rest on that?
Oh, but overall, I'm a hit on this resort.
Okay,
I love all the themes that they chose for it. I think it is. They continually progressed that idea of the value resorts through the years, and they had a lot of work to do with this one, considering the shell of it was set up to be the second resort to Pop Century, and then it went through the recession and everything after 9/11 and left it off the table for such a long time, and then to end up where it is, I feel like it's the culmination of that strategy that they went through with the value resorts. And it does have an amazing food court. The theming all around is great. It is a Skyliner resort, and I am a huge fan of the
I think
Skyliner.
that's an extra
so
plus for it. Too.
it's for me. It can be on the expensive side if you're in those suites or any of the rooms, but you're paying for a good product, in my opinion.
What do you think, Denny?
I love it. It's a complete hit. Landscape of Flavors is a restaurant that we'll go over and just grab dinner one night.
Yeah.
It was the first restaurant on property that our family ate at after we moved down. So it's a
Oh.
sentimental favorite too.
I like how you're referring to it as a restaurant. I'm not sure if that's the right
It's
word.
you
is
know
it?
it's a food court, landscape of flavors, food court. But it's the theming in the resort. I love how elevated it is.
Yeah.
When I got back from Disneyland and I was missing Cars Land, I wanted to take an extra walk around the Cars area of the resort, and it just kind of it was just a connection point. It felt good. The big blue pool, the fact that you can hear Nemo and his friends underwater, that's
Yeah.
just
That's cool.
That's a step above what we've seen in other resorts. I really love it, and you can walk around the entire property, and the fact that it connects over Hourglass Lake to Pop Century.
Yeah.
It's got so many features, and that Skyliner is fantastic.
What do you think, Fiasco?
Yeah, so for what it is, I think it's a huge hit. As far as like you and your family with kids and stuff coming on vacation and wanting to get the most Disney vacation, this resort is Disney. It screams Disney. Now, the food court's awesome. It's awesome that it has the Skyliner now too. The only knock I have on it is the fact that it has that value designation, because I've often gone to book rooms to go on vacation and stuff like that, and it is frequently more expensive than all the moderates.
Yeah.
Like very, very often I look and it's like Port Orleans, Frenchside, Riverside, Caribbean Beach, they're all significantly cheaper. So it's like, keep that in mind, look around. And while this is a great resort and it screams Disney, it is the quintessential Disney resort, you can probably find a moderate cheaper most times of the year.
Yeah. Well, we have a Pop Century Resort, and Fiasco, why don't you tell me how you feel about Pop Century?
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've been to Pop Century, but I have a lot of friends and also family that stays there. And I'm going to have to give that a hit too, because I think if you're willing to spend a couple extra bucks a night, it is a huge jump up from the All-Stars. So, yeah.
What do you think, Denny?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be straight across the board hit for me. I think that Pop Century appeals. I think all the resorts have the potential to appeal to a multi-generation family. But I think there's just something special about Pop Century. When my mom visited a few years ago, she spent so much time in the lobby looking at the timeline, and she stood there in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and she would, as she saw things that jogged a memory from her past, she would say, hey, I had that, or I did this, and she would fill me in on her childhood, and it was really, really neat. This is a store that is, a lot of times you will find things that you can't find at other resorts, similar to what you were speaking about, Fiasco, earlier in the episode. I will find things at Pop that are out of stock elsewhere, and was just over at their food court the week before last. Loved it. So for me, it's a hit, and plus the Skyliner.
I do think it's a hit as well. I stayed here for the last time we did a 7 and 7. I did not have a remodeled room. That was not a hit for me, but I did get to go in and see one of the remodeled rooms, and I really do like what it looks like. It's very clean. It's very bright. I think they did a good job with like the space of the room. And then the lobby, like you're talking about, is actually, I do really like the different areas where they have like the kind of shadow boxes of all the stuff in there, because I love to like see things I didn't see before. Like I know there's a little Power Ranger in one of them, but then for the 90s, and I love that there, I want to say there's a Buffy something or other in there too, which I love. But then I also love like when you get to the 60s, there's like a little Mary Poppins stuff in there. It's kind of fun to just look through, and sometimes you're like, I want to break this glass and take this, but we mustn't.
Don't do that.
It's got the arcade, and the kids area has some like arcade things in there as well. I've sat with some listeners before at the pool bar. Oh my gosh, what is it called? Something pedal. Like it's in the 60s area.
Mm-hmm.
The name is evading me right now, but I thought that was actually pretty good. I thought the food court was decent. I like the theming. I don't know. I got a hit. What do you think, Greg?
It's a hit for me. So this was, I'm going to try to take nostalgia out of it, but it was my first value resort. And so I think it was special for that reason. And, before Art of Animation came along. So this was the pinnacle of value resorts at that time. And I love the theming because I feel like it does capture the decades well, but then also it really kind of hits on all aspects of the decades, whether it was the music or just technology. Yeah. And so I kind of appreciate that. And then, to say it again, like everyone else has, the food court, I know that the last time we did an official review from there, I was the only person who was favorable on it, and I still love that food court.
No, you were the only person who was unfavorable on it, I think, in the last one, no?
No,
you were. You're right. I'm sorry.
It was delicious.
Something happened to your food during the thing. That's what
I had a meatloaf, and it was delicious. And even the last time before that, you and I ate there.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I don't remember what I had. I just remember there was slop all over my face, and that's always a good sign. That's always a happy memory that gets formed when you have that to connect with it. And yeah, it's just, I really have no complaints. And again, now Skyliner being attached to it as well too, just adds its value in my opinion.
So there's one more technically on the list, but has anyone done this? The campsites at Disney's Fort Wilderness? The campsites, not the cabins or anything. Fort Wilderness is actually probably my favorite Disney resort. So rather than go around and talk about it, I think it's a hit in terms of it being an offering there, that it's Absolutely. A very unique thing that you can do. If the campsites, I believe, technically would include the RV hookup, which my mother has done. So I guess technically I do have a little bit of experience with that. And they loved it. And it is, I think, of all the value resorts, the one that you can kind of, it's weird because it's rolled in with this moderate, but you can really escape from Disney and have it be its own thing. And I think that carries through very well into the campsites and really fits that theming. But I'm just not made for a world where you have to share a bathroom. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my favorite either. I have my very dear friend who will go over with her family and do this. She's local, so they'll look and see if a campsite is available, and they'll just throw the kids in the car and head on over. I think one of the neat things is the accessibility of Fort Wilderness as far as to the Magic Kingdom. You can go and get a boat launch to take you over, and that's just something neat and special. And like you said, it almost feels like you're not even in Walt Disney World. You're so ensconced in an environment. It's insulating in a good way.
And it's very inexpensive too. Mm-hmm. Very inexpensive. So, and if you got the RV, you can do the power hookup and all that sort of stuff. So, well, let's really quickly go over here on WDW Info, the DIS. We've got our Walt Disney World Resort reviews and ratings. We currently have, we're almost up to 1,000 reviews. So this is something that you, a listener or a viewer, anybody, if you've ever stayed at one of the resorts and you want to give your feedback, you can head over here and do that. They've set up an awesome thing that you can go through and basically just do what we did and talk about the things you love or didn't like there. But here are the ratings of these resorts. So sitting at the lowest percent is Disney's All-Star Music. That's at 81%, okay?
81% positive.
Yeah, positive. Which is, just next up, All-Star Movies, 83% positive. Okay, and then tied for the second here is All-Star Sports, which is 87, and Pop Century, which is 87. Art of Animation, 88. I'm not surprised Art of Animation is the top one. I am surprised that sports is not the bottom one.
Amazing.
Because it is kind of one of those, if you look on the DIS boards, if you look wherever, you do hear that about the noise complaint and stuff like that, and the busy, and a hotel can sometimes be stressful because there's too much movement for me, like too much going on. So that's crazy, but I that's that. If you want to tell us in the comments section or through any means possible, tell us what you feel are the hit and misses of the value resorts at Walt Disney World, please do so. And if you'd like to actually see kind of an overview of any of those videos, remember on our other YouTube channel, youtube.com/WDWinfo on the DIS, you can check out overviews of the resorts that we discussed. And then obviously you'll find more information on WDWinfo.com. You've got thisboards.com as a resource. And we hope that this episode episode could help you in planning a better Disney vacation. And if you need any additional help in booking your next Disney vacation, remember the experts at Dreams Unlimited Travel are always there to help you plan a perfect Disney vacation, save some money, all that sort of stuff. Some great people there. Ding. I guess that's it. Thank you guys for having this discussion with me. Thank you everyone out there for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World.